Getting into the second episode of Trigun Stampede, I really do feel like they are really trying to go for a more serious tone. Now, granted, yes, technically like a third of this entire episode is just goofy shenanigans of chasing after Vash, but honestly, it's like it feels like just based on the dialogue throughout, even that goofy moment, it really does feel like they're trying to push in these comments about Vash and what he's doing. So, again, I don't know how I feel about it. I think, honestly, with the second episode, the first episode was fine. The second episode, I kind of just feel very wishy-washy with it because there's certain sides of it that I do appreciate what they're doing with this reiteration of Trigun series, but at the same time, again, I think they need to pick and choose when they're throwing in dialogue in there, or at least jabs at Vash as a character. But open up this episode, though, I think the opening segment was really well done. I really appreciate that aspect of Vash sitting there working on something, and then at some point you hear the radio talking about, I don't know, they had some person over the radio. I don't know if it was like a political speaker or something, or maybe a cultist or somebody, some fanatic, talking about how, yeah, this world sucks. And again, that's something they kind of inject into it later on. This world sucks. It's a desert planet. There's nothing here. It's no man's land, and it's got no resources. All we can rely on is the plants. And if the plants don't exist, we would be dead already. And kind of pushing this idea that if our ancestors, when they first got this planet, they only had that as well. And if they didn't have that, we would have been long gone. And they almost felt as if that was probably a better thing. Like, that would have been better if we just weren't here altogether. Why bother living in this hellhole to begin with, kind of thing? So, again, trying to push, again, this setting about how, again, terrible the world is, which I think is great. I don't remember too much of the original series really pressing heavily hard on that aspect. Yes, it was a desert planet. Yes, same setting. But again, trying to be a little more serious tone with it with this particular one. I forgot to mention at the very beginning, yes, we're on episode 2 count. we're going to keep count. We're 2 episodes in. No Millie. 2 episodes of no Millie. I'm going to keep count. But no, obviously, most of this episode is really, again, Vash, despite the fact that he's helped this town. The town is a town of families. It's a town of people that they have those they need to take care of. And from the perspective of this one lady, she's a mother, and she has her children to take care of. So if she can get what she needs to secure their future, she's going to turn in the one person that's been helping them, which, yes, sucks, but that's the world. But at the same time, apparently there's some random mad scientist that apparently he's got so much debt or something like that, that if he doesn't get this bounty, he's not going to have the money and he's going to end up in jail. So he's taken his 2 boys, one being like very much so worked on, to go take down Vash too. So there's kind of a fight between the 2 groups once he's get captured, and then 2 when they show up to essentially steal the plant because they can't get Vash. But again, when he first gets there, this guy starts chasing after Vash out into the desert, and I'm like, well, that was a very anticlimactic fight, because all it was just him chasing him and failing to grab him. But in the midst of this fight, like in the midst of him chasing after him, he's yelling about how he hates people like Vash. You're always running away. You're just pretty much equating him to his son. His son didn't want to get involved either. I hate people like you, cowards that are always running away, which makes me wonder, was he the guy that was on the radio? He might have been the guy that was on the radio. I don't remember. I have to go back and check. Talk about everybody's suffering, everybody's having troubles, and he's running away. Hates cowards like him. And again, having Meryl catch up to Vash and say, I agree with him. You're a coward. You're always running away. And then at the very end, having Roberto, what are you running from? What are you running from? It's like, people really stuck on this idea of Vash. You are running away from something. What are you so afraid of? But again, Vash's answer in this whole thing is literally the crux of the story they're presenting in this episode, which is, it wasn't Vash. It was his brother. His brother's been destroying the plants. Why is he doing it? Is it for glory, fame, money, or revenge? Again, based on what we're kind of insinuating so far, and again, based on my not remembering much about the old series, which is good for those that are watching this new. Million Knives, obviously, like Vash, is somehow different from the rest of these people. Again, when he first shows up, yeah, I saved the plants, but I destroyed everything else. These plants are special to him, whereas the people aren't. But yeah, this mad scientist goes into town, because I think we've already established the fact that technically the bounty on Vash is the same cost as buying one of these new plants. So he's like, well, I'll just go steal that plant. Plant. It's technically a plant's plant. There's 2 plants within this plant, so the plant. But he wants to steal one of the plants, and for some reason he decides to go on the this upper crane to bring it down. I don't know how they got up there, but they didn't want to go back that way, so they decided to go to this edge of this crane to go back down. But anyways, they're on the edge of this crane, and Vash obviously goes up there and stops him. We have a little bit of a sort of cheesy, but it was fine. Little cheesiness here. We just sprinkle a little cheesy on the top of the idea of the, yes, technically this guy, even though he is a bad guy, even though he did steal this plant, even though it put everybody in danger, shot a bunch of stuff. Vash in the middle is trying to let them realize that I don't want to fight, and you guys shouldn't be fighting. Vash is the neutral party. He's like, no, there's no necessity for this, despite the fact that he put your lives in danger, this village in danger, and yes, now he's in danger, and he wants to save his own child. You're both the same. You're both trying to protect your children. He wants to save his child. So, yeah, lady puts down her gun and helps them out. So, it was super cheesy, but whatever. I'm not mad. And yeah, they had the last part. I don't remember the last tech thing, but yeah, they have this last little scene where, yes, the mommy lady says, oh, let's all go party. You're not leaving yet. And they all have drinks and get merry. And just, I guess the guy doesn't drink. And then for some reason, out of nowhere, while Vash is trying to leave without telling anybody, and Roberto stops him and asks him why he's running away. Oh yeah, it's Million Lives. That whole guy you were talking about. But then at some point, some random robotic spider things show up and they attach themselves to the poor boy, and seemingly he ran to save everybody else, ran out of the bar and exploded. So again, I don't remember that whole thing, but apparently there's lost tech that can blow people up. It was probably in the original series, but I don't remember it. But yeah, like I said, most of the focus in this episode is really about the idea that Vash is running away from something. He doesn't want to stick around too long, insinuates the idea that he's afraid of somebody finding him. The assumption there is Million Knives. I don't know if I keep saying Million Lives. Million Knives. Million Knives is looking for him, and if he stays in one place too long, there's problems. It's also the fact that literally crap happens whenever he's at places. He's got this bounty on his head, so people are coming looking for him. But additionally, people keep heavily hitting on Vash about how he's running away from things, and he's not confronting things. But again, what exactly is going to... The assumption is when you criticize somebody for running so much, it's typically because you yourself see that there's an answer for staying still and confronting it. So it doesn't really make much sense at this point in the story for everybody to be criticizing Vash for running away as a coward. Again, they don't know what he's running away from to know if it is a cowardly act. So, again, I'm willing to criticize this show when I feel like it just doesn't work, and that seemingly in this episode is a thing that really is not working for me. And that's where I was talking about earlier, where I'm feeling very wishy-washy about at least the writing in the series so far, is how they're handling Vash as a coward and one that is fleeing from something that nobody really even knows what he's running from, besides the bounty, obviously. But they know he's not running from the bounty specifically, besides whenever everybody's shooting at him and trying to capture him. Most of the time, he doesn't really put up much of a fight when it comes to that kind of stuff. He just runs a little bit. I did appreciate the fact, I almost forgot, I did appreciate the fact that this whole sequence where he's running through the town and flopping around and rolling, they chilled out the Kirito voice. I was so happy about that, because that part in the trailer was what I was talking about in the first episode, where that goofy Kirito voice, the Seiyu, starts going wah, 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 and stuff. They cut it. And I'm like, thank you, because that's so bad. I hate it so much. So this scene, that whole action sequence was so much more enjoyable. And yes, as per usual, massive hats off to Orange for the incredible job in the CGI they're doing. Again, a lot of people expressed in the first episode impressions they didn't like the CGI. I fully understand. I know that CGI is an off-putting thing. And yes, me personally, I would appreciate if this was 2D. It's not. So, but when it comes to Orange, I will give them credit when they do really great stuff. And yes, that whole action sequence, and yes, even the whole chase sequence was really well put together. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see where it goes from here, but that's my thoughts on episode 2. Again, hopefully episode 3 kind of shifts the storytelling and the writing back into a comfortable position, because this episode was very wishy-washy. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed my video. As always, if you did, make sure to hit that like button down below, comment, let me know what you thought of the episode. Is it fixing it for you if you didn't like the first episode, or did it ruin it for you? Let me know. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button so you get my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, we have a Patreon link, a tips link, super thanks, and a membership button down there. Greatly appreciate what it does, and y'all take care.